What's going on, guys? This is going to be a bit different of a video. I'm super excited about this one. This is the interview that I'd recorded a little bit back with a friend that I met on YouTube, Grant Wernicke Jr. He is an awesome guy, firefighter down in Kansas, and you'll hear more about that. But yeah, he's really honestly just like one of those people that really exemplifies like the good part and the good side of like weight loss and just this community as a whole. I'm not going to do much more talking because I want to get right into it and give him the floor, but I'm really excited for this. I'm going to do more videos like this. And again, all of Grant's information will be linked down below. So yeah, guys, I'm super excited, and let's just get into it. So the first question that I had was, what was the thing that made you want to lose weight?
It was probably several things. So 3 years ago, I started as a firefighter, and I was actually it was 4 years ago. I was a volunteer firefighter, and I wanted to go full time. I didn't want to volunteer anymore. I mean, it was great, but I wanted to make it my career. So I knew like that was when I was 260 pounds, and I was like, I know that I need to like step my game up. And it wasn't even like weight as a number. It wasn't even like the way I looked. It was like I need to get in shape so I can do this job, because there is a test when you first become a firefighter. It's called the Candidate Physical Ability Test, and so that's when it kind of started. And I kind of, I was doing the bare minimum though was the problem. So, I didn't see a lot of change, physically. I could pass the test, and I could, do any minimum standard testing. But, when I really started to like get into fitness, was about maybe 2 years ago. And that was, it's actually funny. I was dating a girl, and, have you ever heard of Title Boxing Club?
No.
So Title Boxing Club is it's like a group fitness thing. You go in, there's an instructor, and they teach you how to hit. Okay. And then you just for 30 minutes or for 45 minutes, you do this exactly what they tell you, predetermined workout. And that was when I kind of I was like, okay, like I like this. And I was like I can dabble with this. And that's kind of when I really tipped my toes into like consistent workouts and eating right. And from there, it just kind of exploded, if that makes sense. I went to Title, and I started doing so there were 45-minute classes, and most people do one a day, couple days a week. I was doing like 2 a day every day that I was off. And I was starting to I want more, and I started lifting weights, and I started to find like other means of working out. And then it's actually I love The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and one day I was like in Shields, which is a sporting goods store by me, and I saw this shirt with a bowl on it, and I was like, that's freaking sick. And so I bought it and started working out, and I was like, man, I feel good in this shirt. And then I started buying more of those shirts. Didn't know anything about the brand, but I was like, this is cool. And then eventually I looked it up. It was Dwayne Johnson, and I started following, his story about what he went through and how he got to where he's at. And I just became, I was motivated, but I just soared after that. And bought clothes and invested in supplements and talked to trainers and kind of just learned. And that's probably since then is when I've really been into fitness. And I've even fluctuated. I think everyone can agree in any fitness circumstance that they are on the bandwagon for a bit and then they fall off every now and again. You go 4th of July, or you go, spring break, and you kind of forget about working out and enjoy a couple too many adult beverages, or eat just a little too many Cheez-Its, and you fall off for a week. But then, you just like anyone else, would just hop right back on. The hardest one being at the beginning or the end of this year, I went to the doctor's office for my yearly checkup, and my weight was back up, and I was like, oh crap, what the heck? And so that was my most recent where I kind of jumped on again really hardcore. And I was 230 at the end of December, and then actually got mono in January. And so that side, I gained weight again. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. And so then just hopped right back on as soon as I was cleared from the doctor, and been going hard ever since. I work out 5 days a week or 6 days a week, and I lift at least 5 of those. And then the rest I try to do cardio. Cardio's, I think anyone would agree, cardio sucks. So
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of cardio. I do it when I have to, but yeah, I definitely don't love it.
when Corona hit, I had no gym, and so I just started running as much as I hated it, and I ended up doing like over 255 miles during the initial couple months lockdown of running, just like 6 miles a day. Yeah, my knees suck now, but
That's impressive, man. Yeah, I'm trying to get into running a little bit, but I don't know. I've been putting it off because I always hated running when I was bigger, and I think that's just like it's like a misconception kind of that I have. And I'm like, I hate it again now. I do it a little bit, but I don't know. I definitely need to like. No, that's really cool. I do a good amount of walking, but yeah, I definitely need to get back into running.
and really like walking, like it's hot, and walking is like just like running now. If you ran in cold weather and walked outside now, it'd be the same workout, honestly.
Yeah, I know. It's been getting because I don't know where you are, but I'm in Wisconsin, so it's like you're in the Midwest too, aren't you, or somewhere around there?
Kansas.
Okay, because I know I was trying to figure out the time zone stuff. Yeah, it's like here, it's probably kind of like there. It's the winter is pretty rough, and like I kind of forget like how hot it gets. So yeah, I was out the other day and it was like close to 100, and I was like, man, like this is like a better workout than if I went for a run like in December. Like it's crazy. Yeah, you're sweating a lot of it out. So that's cool though. It sounds like you really got like you started out with those like boxing classes and you really just kind of like immersed yourself into it, which I think is definitely a good way to go about it. So along the way, like obviously with the weight loss and everything and just fitness, there's a lot of challenges. So I guess I was like curious what some of your biggest physical or mental challenges were, I guess, like along the way.
Yeah. So I think the first one, and it definitely affected me. I think it affects everybody who's ever trying to lose weight is, you might get somebody that comes up to you and says, wow, you look great, but in your own mind, you're like, what are you talking about? Like, I look the same. And I think a lot of people, including myself again, it's important to realize that like we see ourselves every single day. I mean, I get up and I look in the mirror when I brush my teeth every single day in the bathroom. And so, you don't get to see those changes because you're every day seeing it, just that micro fraction of a change, and you can't notice it. So I think, where I always struggled was I would look in the mirror and I'd see like, some days I look in the mirror today and still think I look like the guy that was 260 pounds still. But it's important to remember, again, you're used to seeing yourself every single day. So you're not going to see the changes like everyone else, I 7 days a week, I get up and I work out. I feel like I look the same, but you could have somebody at the end of that 7 days be like, wow, like you're looking kind of, toned up today. So I always think that was something I really struggled with, was believing that what I was doing was working. Because I could see that, a number on a scale go down. I could see I went to a size large t-shirt, but to me, even in the large t-shirt, I still look the same. So I'd say like mentality towards like whether it was working or not was always number one on like that hurt or, was keeping me from being happy with it. But other things would be just, obviously when you start out, when you go from, nothing to a lot, there's injuries, and there's, soreness. I remember like the first time I did like a real leg day that somebody else wrote out for me, I couldn't walk for 3 days after it. Like my legs were so sore.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. I'm trying to remember. It was like my brother-in-law wrote me this leg workout and it took me 2 hours to do it. And 3 days after I could not walk. But, once you kind of, get in, I'm sure you would agree, once you get into your mode and your consistency though, all that slowly starts to get away. I mean, injuries are always there. Right. I've never hurt myself working out. I have hurt myself twice as a firefighter. I hurt my shoulder and then I hurt my knee. And those were struggles because I don't know if you've ever been injured and like you can work out everything but that area. And it's just always so like, I can't do legs for 3 months while my knee fixes, or, I can't do, any shoulder or arm workouts because it'll mess up my shoulder more. And so that was always kind of the second thing that always bugged me is, or that was hard or a challenge, was anytime I was injured or anytime that, there was something keeping me from going full out.
Right. Yeah. I think that's really interesting about the injuries too. Like, cause one thing I was thinking too is like with the motivation, I've never had like, I guess I've definitely had issues with being motivated, but I haven't had like any real like injuries besides like a little bit like, yeah, like one thing you were saying that resonated with me was my sister. She'd been lifting for a few years. So she was like doing these, yeah, she had these crazy leg days, and I'd try doing it. I'd be like, I can barely walk it for like 3 days after that. But so with like the motivation, and also kind of on top of that with like being injured and like that affecting your motivation, how did you stay motivated? Because I can imagine that, especially through the injuries, I can imagine that that would be a lot more difficult kind of to keep the motivation.
Yeah, motivation is always, I always tell people like 4 or 5 days a week, I'm actually not at all motivated to like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I don't want to work out today, but I remember, that it's consistency and I try to make the habit. So now, or when I first started, it was, I got to go to the gym today, get motivated, do it, drink pre-workout, hype yourself up and go to the gym. But now, months down the road, it's more of, I don't really want to work out today, but that's not how life works. Like I got to get up and I got to go do what I need to do. So that's always kind of been my motivation. It's, not looking at it as something that I want to do, but something I have to do. And then further, saying, oh, I want to be fit. Well, it's not something I want. It's something I have to have. So putting it as a priority and then getting into that habit of where you're just doing it. So today was a prime example. I was having a rough day actually. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to the gym today. And then, 30 minutes later, I'm like, what are you doing, Grant? Like, get your lazy ass up, get into the gym. And I always tell myself, anytime that I do that, anytime that I'm like not motivated, I'll double my workout intensity. So today, as like my punishment for being lazy, I did my normal workout and then I went back. So it was like arms and shoulders day. And I went back and burned out all the muscle groups with lightweight. So it was like, your normal sets and reps of curls. But then when I came back around to do the burnout, I picked up 25s and just sat there like, until my arms were like dropped. And I was like, that's what you get. You don't, get motivated next time. So
Yeah, I really like that what you were saying kind of about the motivation, because I know that's one thing too that like, and especially with like friends and family, I know like seeing your progress, because I definitely agree with what you were saying earlier too about that's been a very real issue for me, is that it's very hard to, because you're right, you do see yourself every day. And I think we also hold ourselves to a really high like expectation. So I think it's like, I don't know, it's really just kind of interesting having like the friends and like family, like noticing the difference and stuff like, so I think, I don't know, I think that I really resonated with that. And also with kind of like the stuff you're talking about with motivation, I think I definitely agree that a lot of it kind of comes down to just like willpower. And I know personally, at least I'm sure with you too, like you have like friends and family that like see your progress and they're like, oh, like Grant, like how do you do it? Like how do you stay motivated all the time? And like I've kind of had an interesting like, because I'm like, I don't know how to tell people that like a lot of days I really don't want to do it. So I think that's really cool. And like I think that probably contributes a lot to your success. And like the fact that I think that's a great idea. That's something that I actually might start incorporating, is kind of like the burnout type thing where like, you know what I mean? Almost kind of as like a punishment. Like, I don't know. I really like that. So I think that's really cool. And then one other thing I wanted to ask too was along with the weight loss and kind of the experience with that, a lot of the kind of like positives and negatives are kind of things that, you kind of have planned out, but were there any like unexpected positives or unexpected negatives that like you kind of went into and you didn't really expect to have?
Yes, for sure. Both, unexpected positives. I never really even thought about, I was working out for my fire department, but then when I started working out for myself, I forgot even, the benefits that it had to the fire department. So we started doing, annual fitness stuff at the department, having little fitness competitions. And it was like, oh my gosh, like Grant went from, this out of shape lunk of junk to, okay, like he's a contender. And we have my fire department has a wildland fire team that gets deployed nationally in big wildfires. And, all my hard work paid off. And I didn't even think about it, was they were starting to consider me, because they were like, wow, you've changed a lot. And, so that was a really shocking surprise. I went to the meeting and they're like, yeah, like you're on the list this time around. And I was like, well, there we go. So that was definitely, unexpected positive. And then just, we think about it from the fitness standpoint and the looking good standpoint, but often forget where it translates to our actual health. We like blood pressures and heart rates and respiratory rates are things nobody ever thinks about. And I've seen all my vital signs improve, which has been really cool. It's very important to be healthy at a young age and then continue to stay healthy as we get older. And I think that's, something I never really thought about until I went and did this scan thing where they do all these tests. And, you find out and you're just like, I'm what would be considered a healthy adult. And that feels really good. And then, but obviously, just like you said, there's been some, I wouldn't really call them true, like unexpected negatives. Cause they're not chronic problems. They're not going to last forever. I'm sure you probably, I love pre-workout. I love caffeine and I love pre-workout, and I smash a lot of it before some of my workouts. I think one day I topped out at like 900 milligrams of caffeine, and the average healthy human is only supposed to do somewhere around 400 a day to consider it healthy. So, you're just up there in caffeine. You're like, this probably isn't good. But, you get a great workout. So it's like, oh, little bad, little good. Okay. And then, sometimes I think you can get kind of an unhealthy obsession with it. I think there is a such thing as a healthy obsession with working out. And then I think you get to the point where it's unhealthy, where what you're doing in the gym and how often you're going is actually destroying you. And I actually experienced that right before I got mono. Actually, the reason I got mono was because I wanted to cut weight fast. So I wrote this insane workout. And it was, I got up every day at 4:30 in the morning and went to the gym. And the bare minimum I did was an hour and a half of cardio. And then on top of that, on most days, I would still do an hour and a half of lifting after that. And I would do that consecutively. And then because I wanted to cut weight and I got obsessed with that number, I was eating like less than 1,500 calories a day. And so that's how I got mono. Actually, was I had lowered my immune system so much that I got mono from a drinking fountain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, at least that was the doctor's guess. But I worked out for 30 days straight without taking a single rest day. And again, there were so many negative effects from it. I was falling asleep everywhere because I didn't have energy, because I wasn't eating enough and I was using the energy I had. I was irritable. My workouts really weren't that good. It was almost like every workout I did was in theory a burnout, where I was just kind of going through the motions until I couldn't do it anymore. And so, yeah, I think that's a super negative side effect, is when you kind of let it get unhealthy and unrealistic, I guess, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that's really cool that you bring that up too, because I know that's one of the like kind of the less glamorous parts of, I guess, like losing weight and fitness, is some of the things that, yeah, like you deal with just like mentally. And it is very interesting too. And like, yeah, like the fact that there's like, I think it's very hard sometimes to kind of try to toe the line between like healthy and like unhealthy. And it's kind of like crazy, because it's like, it's like people say there is too much of like a good thing. And it's one of those things where I've had issues with that too, where I was like, I just felt sick. I wasn't like eating enough. And like, I don't know, it's like, cause you kind of look and you're like, and I think it's also kind of like when you are losing weight, I know I looked at it, I was like, I have a lot of weight to lose. Like, I better do this like as fast as possible. But I wasn't realizing that like, like the whole importance of like staying consistent with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting that you had like, I guess it's like you learned the hard way, which is like unfortunate, but it's like, I don't know, it is such a real thing that people deal with.
Yeah, it was a good, for sure, reality check. I no matter what, no matter how I feel, I will always, every Sunday I take a rest day, and I do not work out at all. I don't do like yoga. I mean, nothing. Maybe a walk, and that's just because I want to go on a walk or something. But rest day at least once a week. I don't do the abusive where I'm working, the same muscle group 2 days in a row. If I run one day, I don't run the next day. So and it's one of those, like, I never went to school for fitness. So I've learned as I've gone, and I try to give advice to other people based off what they tell me, and just hope that, it all works out. One thing I learned that blows my mind is protein consumption. Do you drink protein shakes after your workouts?
I do, yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because I'm doing a video today where I'm only having protein shakes for 24 hours.
Oh
But
my gosh,
so
I can't imagine.
that's more than I usually do. And yeah, I got through breakfast and lunch good so far. But yeah, my mom, of course, now made like super good dessert. I swear she did it on purpose just to tempt me. She's like, I already had it planned. I was like, I don't think so. But
Yeah, I was rolling good today. All I've had is a protein shake and a couple cookies because I cheated. But I always found that, like, I thought one protein shake after you work out was adequate. One scoop, one shake. And it was like 2 weeks ago, I was doing the research on like protein intake. I was like, oh my gosh, I am not, consuming near enough protein to support what I'm doing. And now I have to, I do 2 shakes a day at least, and I got to double them up, which makes me fly through protein, which sucks because protein is expensive for the good stuff. But yeah, and that's impressive. 24 hours. I don't know if I could do that. I always need like the chewing satisfaction of eating food,
yeah, I feel that. I kept walking by like the fridge today, and I was like, I would like forget that I was doing it, and I was like, I need to get something. And I was like, dang it, okay, no. I was like, tomorrow morning I'm gonna definitely change that. But yeah, that is interesting because I actually protein shakes were really new to my diet. I had just kind of had like a lot of like meat, but I had really honestly until a few months ago I really hadn't. I'd have them occasionally, but I was like, I kind of realized I should start getting a lot more protein in my diet. And
For
yeah, I think
sure.
it is one thing that's interesting with those two is like what I've noticed, I'm sure you've noticed too, is you're talking about the good stuff. And like it is crazy like how different you can make the exact same shake. And like I'll put like bananas and stuff in there sometimes, but like I will make the exact same shake one day and I'll make it the next day with different protein and it'll just be like a night and day difference. So I think
Right.
that's hard too, is
Yeah.
like finding that sweet spot with the protein.
What's funny is, like, I only pick protein because of the taste. Like, could care less about whether it's, the fancy stuff or the inexpensive stuff. I like Ghost protein. Have you tried that yet?
I haven't tried that, but that's one that's on my list to try.
Yeah. I love it. Just their generic cereal milk. It is the only protein I've ever mixed with water that I thought this tastes good. So just, suggestion. I'm not a rep, just for the record, not a rep, just a guy who likes protein. So yeah, I keep it simple. I like go to the store. I don't like order anything online or go to specific brands. It's like I go to GNC, which again, I don't represent GNC. That's just where I
Right.
go. And I'm just like, hey, that looks good. Give me that and a blender bottle because I mess my blender bottles up.
Yeah, those things go through a bit of damage. I have a
Okay.
couple of them now. I'm always trying to get more because those
Yeah.
things get beat up pretty quick.
Well, and you leave them in the car one time with a little bit of, protein water in it, and they
Oh,
are ruined. They
yeah.
are ruined.
My
So
sister back when we shared a car, she'd had a couple that were just like she'd like lose them and then we'd find them like and it'd be like, oh my God, like it'd be like a week old. And I was like, we need to throw that out.
that's
Horrible.
yeah, for sure.
So the last thing I wanted to ask you quick was so obviously the Pebble podcast, that is how I found you. And there's some really great content on there. I also want to say I absolutely love the hat. And if you start selling those, please let me know because I will 100% buy one. But so about your channel, what kind of content can we like expect in the future?
Okay. Well, that's tough. I'm gonna be honest. So when I started the Pebble podcast, so my friends and I, we mess around a lot, and I'll sit there and I'll go on like hour-long rants about random topics, not even to do with fitness some of the time. But so they were like, Grant, like, just let us record you and post it online. And I was like, all right, well, if we're going to do that. And by the way, this took months of convincing. I mean, I was adamant that I was not going to do a podcast. I was not going to do a show. I didn't want to be out there. And then finally one day they're like, let's do it. Just to see what happens. And if you don't like it, we won't do it. And we made the first video and, it exploded in my opinion. It got like over 300 views. And I was like, maybe I should do another one, you know? And my friends made me commit to it because my best friends are my producer and writer. And they made me commit to a deal that it was like, you have to do at least 10 episodes. So I'm committed to 10 episodes. Each week we kind of take a look at what we want to talk about. And then just see what, look at the previous episodes and see what resonates. So honestly, I don't know what the future holds for the next episode. The next episode, I think we were going to talk about tattoos actually, but it really could change last minute. It's we have zero planning. We don't write anything down. I will have some more special guests. It just depends on who's willing to come hang out during the Corona crisis.
Right.
I'm on episode. Next one would be episode 5. So you've got me for at least 6 more episodes, and I'll be sure to get you a hat. This is actually the first hat Pebble podcast. We're gonna be doing a giveaway for the second one. Ooh. So you can see that. You can follow me on Instagram. That's where the giveaway will be. Shameless plug. It's just at the Pebble podcast. Common spelling on Instagram. We have 0 posts, but our first one's gonna be the giveaway, and I'm super excited. We've actually got some hats, some shirts. They're tank tops. Gotta only wear tank tops to got to let the guns out. Yeah, I'm very excited for the future, and I'll be sure to get you a hat as soon as I have the next couple made up.
Sounds good. I appreciate it, and I'm really looking forward to at least 6 more episodes. I'm hoping that there's many more. Again, yeah, I was seeing them blow up, and I think you're perfect for podcasts, so I'm glad your friends definitely convinced you to do it. I'm looking forward to see whatever you put out. I need a new tattoo too, so if you guys can give me some ideas in the next podcast, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to that. Oh, you got some
lots of tattoos.
Wow. Look at those.
There's the bull, man. There's the bull.
Oh my gosh, the Rock. Are you wearing is that a bull shirt too that you have?
Yeah. This is one of his new ones.
I saw that. I was like, I wonder if he's from Chicago, because I just automatically started thinking Chicago.
That's what everyone says. That's either Chicago Bulls or the Texas Longhorns, and I'm like, nah, losers, is the Rock.
It's the Rock. Do your research. Well, thank you so much, man. I'll keep the Instagram shout out that you did in too. I'll follow your Instagram. I'm really looking forward again to more, and thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, man. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'd love to have you on the podcast too sometime. Like I said, we just got to get it planned out on my end.
I appreciate it, man. Definitely. Take care, buddy.
You too, brother. Have a good night.